want to call to order the September 24th, 2013 meeting of the Oshkosh Common Council. Those of you that are here today, I want to welcome you here to the council chamber. Also want to welcome those who are watching us on channel 10, those who might be watching us on the computers or listening to us on the computers, those who might be listening to us on the radio. This is your city government, so it's your opportunity to participate in whatever form that it takes. So welcome. I'm going to ask the clerk to take the roll call of the council members.
Peck. Herman.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Fitzgerald.
Here.
Cummings.
Here.
Ellison Osby. Here. Tower.
Here.
Present 6.
Okay, I'd ask everybody to rise for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation will be led by Councilmember Herman. The pledge will be led by two students that we have with us today.
We ask for your guidance tonight as we begin this meeting. May all those who participate in our discussions and our decisions reflect the values that we cherish in this great city. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to ask the students to stay up in front there. Why don't you turn around so these people can see you? People on television can see you at the same time. We do appreciate you coming down, spending some time with us and leading us in the pledge tonight. We'll learn a little bit about you. I'm going to pass the microphone down here. Why don't you tell us what your names are, where you go to school, what grade you're in, and since we just recently came out of a summer vacation, what memorable happened to you this summer? You can share with us.
I'm Reagan. I go to Lourdes Academy, and I'm in 8th grade. The most memorable thing I did this summer was I went to Boston. I'm Sammy Boehm. I go to Lourdes Academy, and I'm in 8th grade. And the most memorable thing that happened to me over the summer was going to Glacier National Park.
Sounds like we had some great vacations. A big city and part of nature out there. So, again, we do appreciate you coming here. I think somebody did a switch with me here on who's here. What's your last name? I think they switched one out. Sammy's here. And we're going to have to get your name later because I have another name here that's been done. So we'll get your name and we'll get you a certificate, okay? We'll make sure that happens. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. A hand for these two young ladies. You two can take off if you want now. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a public hearing. Public hearings get read at 2 consecutive meetings, so people have opportunities to speak at 2 consecutive meetings. I'm going to read the public hearing here tonight. I'll read it 3 times, just like I will the next time. We will not be taking a vote on it as a council. We'll be taking a vote on it next time, so people are free to speak tonight on the public hearing, and also they're free to speak the next time at the public hearing, at which time will be brought back to the council for a vote. So it's ordinance 13-430, approve rezoning property east of Jackson Street, south of Soda Creek Road, Jack Tar Road, and north of Copp Avenue from C1 neighborhood business and R2 two-family to R3 multiple dwelling with a planned development overlay. Read it again. Ordinance 13-430, approve rezoning property east of Jackson Street, south of Soda Creek Road, Jack Tar Road, and north of Copp Avenue from C1 neighborhood business and R2 two-family to R3 multiple dwelling with a planned development overlay. Third and final reading, ordinance 13-430, approve rezoning property east of Jackson Street, south of Soda Creek, Jack Tar Road, and north of Copp Avenue from C1 neighborhood business and R2 two-family to R3 multiple dwelling with a planned development overlay. I see no one coming forward. Again, this one will be read next time 3 times, and people have an opportunity to speak to it at that particular meeting. Next thing we have are citizen statements to the council about something that may be going on in the city, either positive or negative, as the case may be, that you'd like to address the council. If you'd like to come to the microphone during this period of time, The microphone will be open. We'll ask that you give us your name and address, speak directly to the council, limit your comments to 5 minutes, and nothing else on the agenda tonight to be touched on, and no electioneering. Microphone is there.
My name is Charles Hodge of 202 Oxford Avenue. According to the Transit Advisory Board agenda, items on September 2013, Chris Strong and the Transportation Authority said there appears to be reduced ridership at Mercy Medical Center and Aurora Medical Center. But it's not clear what caused this. Give me a break. Common sense will even tell you it's because of the non-accommodating stops at both facilities. Also in the minutes of the September 2013 TAB meeting, the Transit Authority takes the time to argue against returning number 9 to its previous 2-bus 60-minute cycle. Some of your operators, as you refer to them, express concern about delays when the Aurora turnaround area is blocked. Council members, I've ridden on the old number 9 for years, and I never experienced more than a 2 or 3 minute wait on a blocked turnaround. In fact, I never remember the old number 9 being late at the main transit center. It was always first, second, or third to arrive at the main transit center at the end of its 30/60 minute cycle. There was always plenty of wiggle room with this particular route. The Transit Authority and Mr. Strong have once again chosen to blur the facts. How about focusing on the fact that Oshkosh's elderly and disabled also travel to Aurora's Behavioral Health, Theta Care's Family Clinic, and the Festival Foods, which are located directly across from on West Haven Drive from the present bus stop in front of Aurora's emergency room. Mr. Strong, you're always quick to say things like, it will reduce service to the other parts of the city, reduce the efficiency of the routes, etc. Mr. Strong and council members, it should be readily apparent that the present fixed route system is ill-suited for a city the size of Oshkosh, especially with the introduction of transfer points. The transfer points compound the very problems you're dealing with while searching for equitable service for the elderly and disabled. Council members, there's barely a place in Oshkosh that can't be reached with a 1-bus, 1-route system, and maybe a couple of 60-minute loop buses thrown in for good measure. It was, after all, done successfully for years. I'm also hoping that you will see the benefit of returning the number 9 to the old route and its 60-minute loop cycle before one of your regulating agencies get involved, or you get some diehard disability rights advocates in from Madison and Milwaukee to Oshkosh to protest outside Oshkosh's City Hall. Don't laugh. It could happen. Like civil rights, disability rights were fought hard for by thousands and thousands of people. For thousands and thousands of people. The not disabled and the disabled alike. Do you really think that you're going to take away accessibility from the elderly and disabled of Oshkosh without a fight? I will, however, commend Transit Authority for the posting in your buses concerning the upcoming changes with Go Transit interlined routes. But don't you think it would be an even better idea if you'd start posting notices of Transit Authority meetings as well as Common Council meetings when the agenda involves changes in the Go Transit routes and schedules? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to come speak at this point?
Butte to 24 East Tennessee Avenue. Good evening. People First of Oshkosh is a self-advocacy group for persons with disabilities, families, and friends dedicated to increase personal independence and capabilities, defend civil rights, and eliminate prejudice and discrimination of people with developmental and related disabilities. We, the People First of Oshkosh group, feel the new bus routes are not taking into consideration the needs of those with physical and cognitive disabilities. The new bus system is very confusing, and there is no way to differentiate the buses that travel the same road. Two of these issues are just the tip of the iceberg. We feel that Oshkosh transit system is not factoring in how hazardous these new routes are. At this time, the new routes are causing people to cross traffic to get to hospitals, putting them in danger. Once winter comes, it will only get worse. How would you feel if you had to walk through snow on icy sidewalks to get to a healthcare facility? This task would be difficult even for able-bodied individuals. We feel our opinions do not count to the Oshkosh transit system. We feel there was nothing wrong with the original routes, and it was easier for people with physical and cognitive disabilities to use. Please take in consideration all the comments that have been voiced regarding the new routes. In conclusion, at last week's Transit Advisory Board meeting, there was no quorum, meaning that there could not be any action taken on the changes that have been proposed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to come forward at this point?
Donna Laurie, 511 West Bend Avenue, Oshkosh, Chair of the Winnebago County Aging Disabled Resource Center Advisory Committee. Good evening. While you will be having a report on the last Transit Advisory meeting later in your agenda, I'd like to make a few comments. As advised, 4 of our members of our committee attended the advisory meeting here September 18th, and were somewhat disappointed to see they were missing 4 members of their committee, which left them without a quorum. So in fact, by Robert's Rules of Order, there was no meeting or any action powered by those who were present. And since there are only 38 working days left to November 16th, which is usually our first heavy snowfall of the year. We would like very much if the changes that we're recommending could be implemented. That said, we were allowed to have ample time for speaking and informal discussion. One woman stated that Route 10 has lost 30 to 50% of its riders. This is the route that goes to Neenah, which transfers up to Appleton. And I would suppose, it leads me to believe that these folks have found paratransit, which is a plus in convenience, but perhaps either more costly to themselves or to the taxpayer. A report on that route would be interesting, as Oshkosh has shared medical facilities in Appleton, which the general public may not be aware of. Another man indicated, and I'm going to steal his thunder, indicated that the people at this Bethel Homes complex, which houses the elderly, have now got to walk a long distance to get to their buses, where it used to come in and pick them up in the facility. Good exchange was given on the policies of adjusting Route 9 in order to gain entrance, drop off at Mercy Medical and Aurora. Mr. Strong offered 10 different options and scenarios, and when one was elected, he said that he would speak to both hospital management to see what would work and could be accomplished. While Mr. Cummings was the only council member present, and we thank him for coming, I must commend Mr. Clark on his interest, and certainly can imagine how he had to do a very quick study for this committee, as he's just been elected. Speaking for myself, I came into this issue cold. So it has been a challenge to understand what the hardships, inconvenience, and loss of independence others have suffered. I've heard stories of several people having to give up their volunteer positions due to the changes, and certainly it's disappointing for people to have to restrict their independent lifestyles and social times as well. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Deborah Bauschley, and I live at 600 Merritt Avenue, apartment 208. I've had to give up Route 9 to get to Mercy Hospital because I cannot walk in there because now I'm having more and more knee issues. So now I'm supposed to go there for CPAP doctor appointments, so it's too hard to get in there. So now I'm finding more ways to get around with my MTM rides. So now they're taking me to my doctor's appointments. So there's more now, another transportation that takes me all over the place. So it's less bus rides now.
Excuse me, conversation in the back. We bring the conversation to an end. Go
So
ahead. I'm sorry.
I've been finding more MTM rides taking me to doctor's appointments up in Neenah areas, in Appleton areas, so in Fond du Lac, so it's less bus rides unless there's more bus service that can get me into the hospitals, then I can less use the transportation from MTM. That'd be really helpful for me. Thank you.
Okay, appreciate your comments. Thank
Yeah.
you. Anybody else like to go? I'm going to ask again, can we end the conversation back here? Anybody else want to come forward?
I can't stand, so I'll sit on my.
Okay, do you want the hand mic? I'll bring the hand mic. Also, are you the only one that's going to speak to this issue?
Huh?
Are you the only one that's going to speak to your issue?
I'm going to just mention about it while I'm here.
Okay, no, that's fine. I guess you're the only one. You're the only one.
Oh, yeah, I'm
You're the
here.
only one that's going to talk.
Yeah, here. Okay. Okay, my name is it on?
Yep.
My name is Carol Rivas. I live at 600 Merritt Avenue at Main Variant. I'm getting it already confused. I lived at 600 Marriott Avenue, apartment 113. The reason I'm here tonight is I'm glad to be here to say what I've got to feel. On November 2nd of last year, I was out in my power chair, and I got to the 1400 block of it, and it tipped over. Now, the city is denying any responsibility for that. And I'm wanting, if they're deciding or saying that they're not responsible, who else am I to go to? Because I've got a lot of medical bills, my equipment, my chair needs to be fixed and everything. And I have no idea what to do next, so it was suggested that I come down here. As far as I'm under still under doctor's care, they think I have a fractured or cracked rib. And I have all my, well, actually my whole left side is the one bothering me. And like I said, I have no idea where to go next. I would like to know, and why is the city denying it? Because it was on a city street in front of a home. But I thought the city takes care of the city streets. I didn't know if it was a homeowner that I should have talked to, or if I should have just come to the city. I would like to know, just what to do, because I have a lot of medical bills right now, and ongoing medical bills.
Okay, a couple of things. I believe some background on that. This happened last November, I believe.
November 2nd. Of
Happened
last
November, and you did what, I believe you checked and filed a claim with the city, which is the appropriate thing to do. So you filed that
I
claim.
come down to the city, this is such a laugh to me. I come down here, when I spoke to the city, they says we didn't know it was cracked or there was nothing wrong, we didn't know. Well, did they want me to go out there and see that it was cracked, come back and tell them, and then go back out there and get hurt? This is the thing I think is so crazy.
Okay. I'm just going to explain what the process is, which I think I've explained to you on the phone, and you had a woman who sent me a letter, and I responded to her in the same way, so we've kind of been through this. You filed with the city. The city gave it to the insurance company, which is what we do with claims. The insurance company then does their approach to it. It then comes back to the council, in which the council, and I believe it was January or February, do you recall which it was? January or February, confirmed the finding of the insurance company, which was to deny the claim, at which time you could go to court at that particular time.
I could have what?
Go to court? You can go to court.
Oh, really?
Right. I believe you said you consulted some attorneys, too, when we talked about that.
Yeah.
You
And
said you
they-
have, so
not-
I think you were aware of that at that point in time.
Yeah, they said there is none of them that said that they would, they used a word for it, for the city, and they says that they don't cover anything like that.
Okay, that I don't know. But that's the process, correct?
I would
The only other thing that could be done is if the council wanted to pay the bills, the council could pay the bills, but they've already voted to deny the claim. So it's basically in the hands of going to the court system at this point in time.
So I should try to go to court with it, Jeff? Who would I go and file it with, or how would I do it?
I don't know how the court system will go. Len, can you help? And I think we've covered some of this.
We can't give you advice because we represent the city, but the other thing you need to check is after the city gives you the denial, you have so much time to file a claim. I don't know that she's still within her time limits
Okay.
on that. That would be one thing to check. And you would have to you could talk to a private attorney, or you could go, if it's a small enough matter, it could go to small claims and you could represent yourself as well. So.
Oh, okay, thank you very much.
Okay,
That was all I had to say then. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Good evening. My name is Frank Zern. I live at 1040 Maricopa Drive, Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And you have received a long analysis of something that has been a chronic for 40 years or more. Okay? And how we've let that become so chronic over 40 years is a mystery that boggles the mind, really. And so you know about it, as I understand. So I would like to explain what that picture says. That picture says if you are going north or turning west from this right side, you'd be in the lane where that jogger is. And if you're back about 35 yards south of that jogger, you can't see that nice little car peeking around the corner, if you remember that. Well, after I took that picture, I jumped over here to miss the traffic, and there's another car hiding behind there. And they can't see down here either. And you wonder, okay, all right, view facing north on West Haven Drive. This is the view facing north. The right-hand lane going north or turning west for opposite intersection. Please see the sketch below. Well, I can't, you saw that. And the same thing then is true just the other way. The same thing is true just the other way. So if you're coming south, you're coming south on that, your view is obstructed to the car that's coming up there. And so what I'm suggesting, what I'm asking you to do, in the citizen statement, which I'll give you a copy of. So good evening. I forgot to say that. I'm sorry. I'm suggesting that even though you can't see it says West Haven, but from the north it says West Haven. I'm suggesting that that sign should be taken out because this sign is proven to interfere with the necessary safe view for drivers going north and south. Instead, a sign seriously impedes a driver's safe view, especially a left turn or from either way, from going south or going north. Okay. Now there's a tree that you can maybe see the edge of there, right in there. And that's about 12 inches in diameter. So if you miss something and you come sliding through there to try to avoid an accident, that tree ought to be removed also. And then I'm not all that generous. So if we lose that tree, I have a note in the citizen statement I'll give you. It says I'll give the city 5 or 6 real nice sugar maple sapling trees free of charge. Okay. Now, further, as I did a circulation of one of the petition papers, and as I talked with potential petitioners, consensus was very clear. Every person who signed the petition that I circulated expressed the need for a safety upgrade to the site and for the urgency of prompt installation of modern traffic signals. I believe if you look at those signals, I believe those are about 60 years obsolete. That was the state of the art about 60 years ago. Okay, we need to step up enforcement down there. If you drive down 9th Street when you come out there to test drive, be at the top of your game because you're going to need to survive going this way and that way. It's go there at rush hour and you're taking your life in your hands, I tell you, literally. All right, now, in the citizen statement that I'm going to give you, there's an explanation about the eastbound traffic on 9th. How's my time doing? A couple of minutes?
You got about a minute and a half, yep.
I'm about half done. Okay, I'll slow down then. When you get this copy for citizen statement, it will tell you that the eastbound traffic at 9th and West Haven, there's a shadow there. And I had a friend of mine who came west on 9th Street, and I don't know what the turn signals were at that time, whether they were in or not. And she went to turn south, and she didn't see somebody coming out of those shadows, and she was knocked unconscious. And then I wanted to tell you right then and there about a friend, Steve, and he was hit by somebody running a steel stop sign on West Haven, and it broke his leg. I saw him a few days ago. He says my leg still isn't the same. Gary, a neighbor, came out on an accident when the car was tipped upside down. The lady was bloody all over her face. she was crying, "Save my baby." That's what's happening there. So I'm asking you to put a human touch to this. You've got numbers that you're looking at. The numbers don't tell the whole story. You're going to have a heart. Don't be a tin man without a heart, or a tin lady. You've got to have a heart about this. And what I'm saying is, my neighbor Tom, I came by and Tom was standing on the corner. He was in shock. He had been hit by somebody running a stop sign. His whole right fender was taken off, his whole right door was taken off, and his whole right back fender was taken off, like it was sheared by jaws of life. And he was up on the curb. The only thing I can explain to him, I'm hurrying a little bit, is why somebody hasn't been killed there yet, is it's near 3 churches. There's a lot of traffic there, and maybe there's been a guardian angel hanging around there. I don't know if you believe in guardian angels. I won't comment about my statement there. And then...
Let's see if we can finish up.
Okay,
Wind it up.
Here we go. Well, I made the statement on the paper that you'll get that it says, act before we have someone killed or paralyzed at this 40-year-old accident-prone site. Put this on a fast track. Going to 16 to do something about it, that may be another year too late. I think we've stretched the generosity of guardian angels far enough. Now, thank you very kindly.
Thank you. Anybody else like to come forward at this point?
Whoops, I'll get that later. Please call me about that funny brochure you received and about this. And why I got involved is we started using this intersection just recently. And I said, my God, there must be
Time is up, Mr. Zern.
Yeah, there must be something wrong with it.
Mr. Zern.
There must be something wrong with it. And it needs to have a tree cut. It needs to have
Mr.
the
Zern.
sign taken up.
Mr. Zern. We have somebody else at the microphone now.
My name is Rob Patterson. It's 1T in Patterson. And I live at 530 North Main. I'd like to talk to you about route number 2 on the bus system. That is the bus that goes on Jackson Street and also goes to Pick and Save. When it goes to Pick and Save, instead of going in the parking lot, it stops on the street. And I think it's a very dangerous position to be in, especially when the traffic is traveling 35, 40 miles an hour heading north out of town. So it's an accident waiting to happen. My solution to that problem is that the bus which goes down Murdoch could turn into the parking lot of Pick and Save, and it could go around. It could go back toward it goes in. I'm not getting my directions. It could go back around. It could go around the parking lot and come on the opposite side where there's a bus stop that is in the parking lot, and then it could, after it picks up people, it could head out to Jackson Street on the north side and head north. And I think this would solve the problem of being picked up on the street, and also it would be a safety issue. So that's about all I have, and I thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Anybody else like to come forward at this point?
Yeah, excuse me, I just wanted to talk about the intersection of 9th and West Haven again with the stoplight problem there. I cannot understand why the, excuse me, transportation director wants the traffic lights removed and stop signs installed on West Haven Drive.
Your name?
Oh, David Gronier, 2415 Kingston Place, Oshkosh. And once the traffic lights removed and stop signs installed on West Haven Drive and on 9th Avenue, which is a straight-through street with 4 lanes. 9th has a speeding problem, and without the stoplights, it will only get worse. Traffic has gotten heavier on 9th and also on West Haven. I have taken walks along 9th during later afternoon and early evening and clocked traffic at that time with my radar detector at 45 to 55 miles an hour in a 30-mile posted speed limit zone. It gets worse later in the evening when the lights are flashing yellow on 9th. Residents along 9th have difficult time exiting the driveways or crossing and turning on 9th due to the traffic flow and 4 lanes of traffic. The roundabout at 9th has added to the steady flow of traffic and speeds on 9th. I have had difficulty crossing 9th on other residential streets during early day traffic. 4 accidents have occurred at 9th and West Haven in 2013, 2 at noon, 1 at mid-afternoon, and 1 at early evening. And accidents are always going to occur. The several hundred area residents, signers of the petition, cannot understand the logic of the Transportation Department. Many state it is a matter of time before someone is killed. And we also need radar out there to control, by the police department, the speeds, because it's gotten worse. And people are running signs all over. There's a set of 4 stop signs on West Haven at Maricopa. And the residents in that area see people going through those stop signs without even slowing down many times a week. And matter of fact, I was getting a petition signer 2 doors from the intersection there, and the signer says, turn around and look, a guy just went through this 4 stops there, or the stop sign on West Haven at a good 30 miles an hour. Never even slowed down. So it's a major problem out there with the speeding, and speeding all over is a major problem. It's I think everybody's aware of that. So just want to bring it up again, because it's dangerous. Somebody's going to get killed on that 9th. You just cannot believe the speeds, and then with the 4 lanes. And even if you want to cross with the 2 lanes, even middle day traffic, the cars are spread out, but they're in 2 lanes, and you can't go between them. You got to wait till the whole string goes by. And it's pretty scary. And I've lived out there for 42 years when it was actually a single lane street. And matter of fact, back in those days, 2 people on motorcycles were killed, one at the end of my street and one on 9th. But that was a long time ago. So thank you. Hope
Thank
it
you.
works out.
Thank you. Anybody else like to come forward and speak at this time?
Hello. My name is Rick Van Dunson. I live at 1712 Wilson, and I would like to see the transit system change to some of the routes back to where they were. And number 1, I live on Wilson. Like I say, I live on Wilson Street. I would like to transfer it back, and I would like to see it going back in Bethel home. And I would like to see somebody open Ponderosa back up again, make it Kentucky Fried Chicken. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Anybody else like to come forward at this point in time? Okay, then we'll move to the consent agenda items. The consent agenda items are a number of items that are provided by the administration. The council will vote on these as a package unless either a citizen or a council member asks that one of the items be pulled for separate consideration, which can happen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read through the items. As I read through an item, if you would like to speak to that item, please come up to the microphone. The microphone is open right there. And then when I get all the way through all the items, we'll bring it back to the council for discussion. Okay, approval of bills presented by the finance director. Receipt of claim filed with the city's insurance company. Patricia Krause for alleged damages for falling on the sidewalk. Petition received and filed to retain stoplights at intersection of West 9th Avenue and West Haven Drive. Resolution 13-431, approved conditional use permit for Hertz Automobile Rental Business and Strip Mall at 1684 to 1694 South Keller Street. Resolution 13-432, approval of amendment to engineering services agreement with Strand Associates, Inc. for construction management services for the James Road Area Stormwater Detention Basin in the amount of $50,000. Resolution 13-433, approval of amendment to engineering services agreement with Strand Associates, Inc. for construction-related services for the Sawyer Creek Channel improvements in the amount of $80,000. Resolution 13-434, award bid for parking structure repairs for city center parking, ramp to Norcon. Resolution 13-435, approval of Oshkosh North High School Student Council to utilize streets for their Oshkosh North Homecoming Parade, September 27, 2013. Resolution 13-436, approval of a special event. We'll have a number of special events here. Oshkosh Mid-Morning Kiwanis to utilize Menominee Park for Kicking It for Kids, September 28, 2013. Resolution 13-433, approval of Oshkosh Alley Cap Racing and Community Theater Group to utilize city streets for their Cogtober Fest Bicycle and Beer Festival, September 28, 2013. Resolution 13-438, Girl Scouts of the Northwestern Great Lakes to utilize Opera House Square for their second annual Girls Take Over the Square, October 4, 2013. Resolution 13-439, Oshkosh Festivals, Inc. to utilize city streets for their Oshkosh Oktoberfest, October 5, 2013. Resolution 13-440, UWO Alumni Relations Office and Oshkosh Cycling Club to utilize city streets for their Tour the Titan Bike Ride, October 12, 2013. Resolution 13-441, UWO Alumni Relations Office to utilize UWO Sports Complex for their UW Oshkosh 10th City, October 12, 2013. Resolution 13-442, Oshkosh Aces MC Inc. and the Bar to utilize city streets for the third annual Chili Run for Adopt a Family, October 12, 2013. Resolution 13-443, Oshkosh Chamber of Commerce to utilize streets for the 31st Annual Holiday Parade, November 14, 2013. Resolution 13-444, disallowance of claim by Luann Polashinsky. Resolution 13-445, disallowance of claim by Douglas Marciniak. Resolution 13-446, disallowance of claim by Daniel Shears. Resolution 13-447, approve appointments to the Landmarks Commission. Resolution 13-448, approve combination Class B license, special Class B licenses, and operator licenses. I see no one coming forward. I'll move it back to council for questions or comments or any identification of one or more that you'd like to see removed from the agenda. Yes, Mr. Cummings.
Thank you, Mayor Tower. I have just questions on two. First is Resolution 13-432, and the second is Resolution -13-448. And the question I have with Resolution 13-432, in the memo from Steve Godey to us, it indicates that there was rework due to contractor errors. What does that mean, and are they, do they take responsibility for whatever these errors were financially?
Yes, that means that there was, as part of our detention basin construction, we had a spillway installed, and there was some special prefabricated riprap installed, and it was installed incorrectly, and it had to be removed and reinstalled, and the contractor did that all at their own cost.
Okay, so and what is the additional $50,000?
Well, the $50,000 is, if you look at all the other things he talks about in his memo there, actually the removal and the replacement of some of that riprap is estimated to cost about $10,000 to $15,000 of the $50,000. Otherwise, the rest of that cost is associated to working with the DNR, working with the Army Corps, revising our wetlands. We originally had a project out at James Road and at the National Guard Armory proposed for next year where we impacted wetlands, and the DNR said we had to create wetlands if we were going to disturb the other wetlands. So at James Road, we had the opportunity to do that. But by Mr. Robbie and Mr. Godey working with the DNR and some consultants that are developing their own wetlands, it's going to be much cheaper for us to buy into a wetland bank than try to create our own wetlands and maintain them and have to have a bond for the DNR for 10 years to make sure that everything is proper. So we're anticipating saving several $100,000 by buying into a wetland bank. So once we found out that opportunity, we went down, we changed our plans at the James Road Detention Basin to save money on our project. So a lot of that work, as he indicates, is related to things that aren't specifically the construction at James Road Detention Basin, but they're related to the James Road Detention Basin.
But I believe also Mr. Clark had raised that question, and you had responded to that question. So if you want to respond to that question?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. One of the things Mr. Patek said is only a portion of that $50,000 is related to that, and I didn't make that clear when I responded to Councilmember Clark. I believe that any portion of this work that is done by Strand related to this contractor error, we should and will pursue. And I think the city attorney agrees with me. That's something that was the contractor's mistake. As Mr. Patek said, they're correcting the reinstallation, but these extra costs for both this, and there's also an item later on in the agenda where I'm simply reporting on it, the same thing. We need to pursue with the contractor. If necessary, we'll simply withhold payment towards the end if we need to withhold to make sure that this issue gets resolved. Sometimes that's what we have to do, and in this case, that's what we intend to do at this time. I hope that satisfies. We're not satisfied either, and but we had to get the contractor, we had to get Strand to do this work, and we had to get the other firm, Midwest Engineering Services, as well. So we have to incur those costs, but then we're going to submit those to the contractor saying, we incurred these costs due to your error, and we plan to withhold payment because there's still a lot of money that they're owed, and that's just part of what happens in the course of a contract. That's bad for them.
Good, thank you.
You had a second question?
And a second.
Is that okay as far as that one?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Everybody okay with that? Did you agree? Okay.
And the second question is, goes back to Resolution 13448, and this is for 2 liquor licenses. And I think this is kind of a follow-up to some of the questions we asked with the liquor license for the building out in Jackson. Can't recall the name of it. I think this is more for my education or clarification, but what process do we go through to evaluate the people who are applying for these liquor licenses? You know, background checks, that type of thing.
The clerk's office takes the application, and then we submit that to the police department, and Chief Royal is coming forward to answer that.
Then after we get those applications, we'll review it. Usually one of my captains will sit down with the new applicants. They'll run a background check, and then they'll have a discussion and review the Chapter 125 laws, which are the alcohol laws, and the city ordinances as it pertains to it. Ask questions about experience and background and previous, experience running a licensed establishment. But we do criminal history checks, we do background checks, we do all the normal checks that we would do.
Good, thank you.
Was that the end of
That's
it, or
it.
did you have a question?
Nope, that was
a couple
it.
specifics.
No, I just wanted, I was more for, I guess, my own education. What do we do with these licenses?
Okay, that's fine. Anybody else want to comment on any of these? Alison Osby.
Thank you. Just a question in regards to the bills presented by the finance director. I had noticed throughout the year, obviously, I know there are certain reasons that we use outside legal counsel, but I noticed in this particular bill period, we've got almost $30,000 going to outside legal services. I'm just curious as to what what that may be. It goes to Davis and Keithow, Godfrey, or what was it? Yes, thank you. And Pribe or Prebe Law Office?
Okay, Prebe Law Office is our prosecutor.
Okay.
So he gets a monthly bill that council pays for. Godfrey and Kahn is assisting us on a number of matters, the WPDS permit, some other environmental issues related to some stormwater projects, and I'm trying to think if there's something else.
No, they're not.
No, they're not on Buck staff.
It's pretty much
But it's
all
environmental law.
The CMOM reports, those issues that we've been dealing with the sewage treatment plant and those issues we've talked about with
We have some.
the new requirements for phosphorus and things of that
Yeah.
nature.
Okay.
And Davis and Kilthau are not mine.
Oh, yeah, Davis and Kilthau, those are not the city attorneys. Those are related to personnel issues, so that may have had to do with any type of personnel matter we've been dealing with in the past month. We've had a few that have been going on. I don't believe in this case it has anything to do with recent union negotiations, because I think those are kind of in the past. So this is a more recent personnel issues that sometimes we bring in outside counsel when it's of more sensitive nature.
Okay. All right.
Is that okay, or do you want?
No, I'll have further questions, but I'll wait till, we hit budget workshops.
Okay, okay. Anything else? Anybody else want to pull anything at this point in time? Okay, I'll ask for a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda as provided to us.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on any item, or any comments on any item? Seeing none, I will ask the clerk to take the roll call vote on the consent agenda as presented to us.
Herman?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Cummings?
Aye.
Allison Osby?
Aye.
Tower?
Aye.
Carried 6.
Okay, there were no items removed from the consent agenda, so that moves us to other business. And the next item of other business is a petition received and filed for opposition of street improvements, Keenville Lane, Harbor Bay Road, Louise Court, Driftwood Lane. Anybody like to speak to that? They may come forward. I see no one coming forward. I'll bring it back to the council for a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on whether or not to receive the petition? I see none. I'll ask clerk to take the roll call vote.
Herman?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Cummings?
Aye.
Allison Osby?
Aye.
Tower?
Aye.
Carried 6.
Okay, the next item are new ordinances. These require 2 readings, but people can comment on them at either this council meeting for the first reading or at the next council meeting for the second reading. I'll read each one. If you want to comment on each one as I read it, please come forward to the microphone and express your comments. First one is ordinance 13-449, approval of changes in short-term parking in Algoma and Grand parking lots. I see no one coming forward. I'll bring it back to, no, I won't bring it back to the council. I'll save it the next time for the second reading. The next one is ordinance 13-450, approval of parking regulation changes on CP Avenue, Court Street, Hazel Street, 7th Avenue, and 22nd Avenue. Anybody like to speak to that? I see no one coming forward, so once again, it will be read the next time and be open for comments at that particular point in time. Okay, new resolutions. First new resolution is Resolution 13-451, approval of waiver of fees for barricade costs for special event, Oktoberfest Bicycle and Beer Festival, September 28, 2013. Anybody like to comment on that? If not, I will bring it back to the council for a motion and a second.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Yeah, Mr. Herman.
Thank you. Maybe Mr. Roloff can answer this. He was referring to that he should have his fees waived because the barricades are already taken out. Obviously, Farmers Market is paying for the barricades to come out, right?
Farmers Market pays for all their barricades.
Right. So are we splitting the costs with Farmers Market and him to bring the barricades out, or Is this just a standard fee of $45 because it's what we charge for barricades?
It's a standard fee, and there are different areas because we don't close off Market Street for the farmer's market.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Staff recommends denial.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, we'll ask clerk, take the roll call vote on Resolution 13-451. Oh, wait, did you have another?
I just want to make a clarification. If we vote nay, that means we're disallowing it, correct? And if we vote...
Yes.
That would be
The
correct.
motion is in the affirmative.
The motion is stated in the affirmative, so.
Okay.
If you don't want to do it, it'd be no. If you do want
right,
to waive it,
just
it'll be
double check.
yes. We all okay? Ask clerk, take the roll call vote.
Herman?
Nay.
Clark?
Nay.
Fitzgerald?
No.
Cummings?
No.
Allison Osby? No. Tower?
No.
Lost, 06.
Resolution 13-452, approval of special event, Oshkosh Pub Crawl LLC to utilize city streets for their Oshkosh Pub Crawl, October 12, 2013. Anybody like to come forward to speak to that? I see no one coming forward to speak to it. Bring it back to the council for a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Discussion.
I have a question to maybe the city clerk. She might be able to answer. Do we know if these businesses that are listed in our information, are they now sponsors? Because that's always been a question, and some of these establishments say they have nothing to do with the pub crawl. Some of them say they do. And now we get a sheet with, Jambroni's and CBC and St. Thomas and Barley and Hops and Terry's, O'Brien, Sammy's. I just wondering if all these establishments are actually sponsors now.
We don't contact them separately. This is the information that he provided to us. So
Okay.
this is what he's representing our participants in the event.
Okay. I know this is a catch-22. We've had this discussion before. I'm going to vote against it, just in principle. This is an event that I don't support in the city of Oshkosh. But if we don't pass it, then we aren't able to have the police department, or will be end up paying for the police department and maybe fire services and other events for the thing. But I think somewhere, sometime, we have to take a stand that we don't really need events that are nothing but excessive alcohol drinking, excessive partying, excessive rowdiness that disrupts neighborhoods, that disrupts the downtown area. And I'm just going to vote no against it.
Other comments? Yes, Mr. Cummings.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a question. It's more clarification. If we vote no, the event goes on, correct?
I believe it probably will, yes.
And we'll...
It just hampers our ability to collect the fees and to police it and have those costs.
So we'll still have to provide police, and so we will incur costs by voting no, and we have no way to bill the organizer back for our costs.
We would potentially have ways to bill back the organizer or the other participants. It's just, this is the most efficient, effective way for us to do it, and he has filed the application, so it's provided us the information to be able to do that.
It's an unfortunate situation, but I think that is the reality of the situation and social media today also. Others? Yeah.
Well, and I think in this regard, I mean, this is an event that's really taken on a life of its own. I know the gentleman who's listed on the application for this event knows that this event could pretty much go on without him doing much of anything. And I personally, and there's probably a lot of council members who might disagree with me and citizens who might disagree with me, but I commend Mr. Kubiak on taking the responsibility. He recognizes that, and he recognizes he's taking the responsibility for this. He recognizes there's other people who should be held liable for some of the fees associated with this, and I think he's trying to be as responsible as he can, given what this event has become. It is an anomaly. I think that'll probably come up in discussion when we have our special events workshop in months to come.
Okay. Other comments? Mr. Cummings?
Thank you, Mayor. One more question. What is our procedure when there's damage? I mean, we've had trees on Main Street snapped off, limbs broken, not just at this event. What is our recourse if there is damage? Either damage to city property, damage to private property, that type of thing.
With private property, we wouldn't take any recourse, but for city property, if we can show who is responsible for the damage, then we would invoice and pursue that. But
The individual or the event sponsor?
the individual who caused the damage, if we are able to show there's something directly linked to an event, the issue we've had in the past is having sufficient proof of whether something is actually linked to an event or not. So we always have to review that.
Okay, thank you.
Other comments, questions? Okay, seeing none, let's clerk take the roll call vote on Resolution 13-452.
Herman?
No.
Clark?
Aye.
Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Cummings?
Aye.
Allison Osby?
Aye.
Tower?
Aye.
Carried 5-1.
Okay, council discussion, direction city manager and future agenda items. First thing coming up, the joint workshop between the council, Planning Commission, Redevelopment Authority on a vision for the riverfront development. I believe we talked about doing that after the first of the year, I think realistically in terms of time frame. So that's still out there and we're reminded of it. Future agenda items also, September 25th, that happens to be tomorrow night, folks. CIP workshop, 5:30 to 7:30. You should have gotten a new sheet to add to what you have. Everybody get a sheet tonight? Okay.
Yeah, if I could.
And we got the other information. Everybody should have gotten a copy of the CIP in their packets this week, so everybody get a copy? All right, so we have the information. I assume we'll do it in the back room here tomorrow night. October 21st, budget workshop. That's the 5:30 to 9:30. That's a longer one. That's when we'll have people. I believe we said last, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's in regards to that.
Okay. We indicated we're going to do it in the back room there. That's when we have different people come up from the various departments and make their presentations to us. We did ask, though, to be kept on some kind of a time frame, so keep focused on what the issues are. Yes.
A question that I have is I was noticed that I'm going to be out of state now on that date. Is there a way in which I could possibly, if time would allow, be able to call in on some type of, do we have that type of system? Or no?
We could look into it. We've never been asked the question before.
I wouldn't want to,
We certainly-
have any additional cost to the city if it could be done.
No, I think it's just a matter of getting the phone in there. You could watch it online, so the receiving part, you could get video as well as audio.
Okay.
If you wanted to ask a question type of
That's
thing.
what I was,
I don't know if that presents a problem. If we're not using it for a quorum and it's not a vote, I don't think it's a problem. Let's check. I don't think it is. If it was an issue that, like if Mr. Peck asked about tonight's meeting, he wouldn't be able to vote on something. The budget here, the budget workshops are nothing more than workshops. We could look into it. I hope you have good, I hope we're on your family and friends plan. Other than that, we might be able to pull it off, especially in that room more so than in this room. So we can look into it for you.
we'll look into it, and it's not for sure that I can participate, but my sincere apologies. This obviously was something that we had said prior, but I'm out of state, so my sincere apologies. I don't want to ask the council to change the date.
But you ask a good question, because there are the little devices out there that you can plug the phones into. It might be worth looking at to see if we should invest in one, because I would think it'd come up at meetings at various points in time, in which you have a speaker phone and which you do it, and there's a call-in system. And
The Mondo Pad, the big screen there, has video conferencing capabilities. That's if any council member had a webcam, Skype, we could work that out. Or just simply hook you in on the phone, and you could watch online as well, because our workshops are online just like our council meetings are.
Well, we can talk about
Yeah,
logistics. I just wanted to give a heads up.
Okay, in general, I know.
It's
University, when I
technologically
worked
feasible.
there, we had the devices, you could do the call-in, and Just
As
hook
long
up the
as-
devices into the phone line, put a speakerphone on it, and you had to have the open lines. So if we could just ask Tony maybe to look at that capability, because it'd be a nice capability to have, because increasingly people need to be multiple places, so.
Well,
we
we'll
could
put
examine
Tony's
that.
budget on for that night, then his incentive will be increased, so.
That's right.
I'll pass that on. We'll see how
Okay.
our creative
See if we
juices can flow on that one.
Sure.
Okay.
As far as the workshop for tomorrow night, if you could make sure you bring the booklet that we passed out, it's the updated one. Mr. Clark had asked, the major change in here is that we've inserted the equipment. That was not something that we submitted to the Plan Commission. That's the major change. There are a few changes and some tips in terms of sources, but the projects are unchanged. It's only the capital equipment that is new in the document, and so the summaries are there as well. I added the financing part. It's really the financing part of capital projects, the debt aspect of capital project. That's the primary focus of tomorrow night's meeting.
Okay, the next one was October 29th, budget workshop. That'll really be the follow-up. That'll be the remainder of the departments coming to speak to us. Then on November 6th, the overall budget, the CIP follow-up workshop, 5:30 to 7:30. Mr. Cummings.
And I will be out of state that evening as well.
November 6th?
November 6th, I'll be.
We want to note that, so we'll have.
As a matter of fact, I'll be in Charleston, South Carolina, meeting with their preservation organizations and their economic development people. So I'll be doing city work.
And then workshop on special events to be determined later. Also, we got notice this week, there's a workshop in which I've asked council members to participate next Monday by Department of Community Development, along with Sustainability Board and others regarding zoning.
This is zoning code, the consultant that the city's hired to do the updates to the zoning code. They're here all day meeting with a variety of stakeholders associated with this, and they would like to have an opportunity to hear from council members. I know that some council members have indicated that there's also a public meeting on South Park that is a conflict. That wasn't intended to be a council meeting, but obviously if you're interested in both topics, it's going to kind of put us in an awkward situation. Unfortunately, both our consultants are showing up at the same time, and we can't move their schedule around. Mr. Davis, are there other opportunities for council members perhaps to meet with a consultant either during that day? I wouldn't be opposed. I have a time scheduled with them myself. I can't remember. I thought it was supposed to be 9 o'clock, but if we can fit you in any time during the day, if you wanted to say go to the, if you couldn't make the evening meeting or you wanted to go to South Park, I'd be happy to have a council member sit in on my meeting or any other meetings, because I know they're going to be here all day.
I think they have some individual time slots, too.
Yes, some people have already signed up for time slots, but we do have times available still in the afternoon, if that would be available. We do have focus groups scattered throughout the day for various topics as well, but if you want to attend the South Park public meeting, we could arrange sometime during the day for the zoning ordinance input.
A lot of things going on, a lot of workshops.
Mr. Davis, and I too had planned on attending the South Park event, being on the Parks Advisory Board. I had signed up for a time slot during the day. Does that mean I'm basically providing the same input that I would at the evening events?
Yes.
Okay. I'm covering the bases there.
Yes.
Great. Thank you.
And just for my clarification, I will not be able to meet with them, but I hope to be back in town in time to make the 5:30 meeting.
That's the 5:30 to 6:30 is the public, the 6:30 to 8, so
Yeah.
going to the public meeting is that what?
Well, I'm going to try to get back to the evening stuff.
Okay.
I'm going to be out of
Okay.
town.
I just want to make sure you know that
Right.
there are actually
Two different
There are
time
actually
frames.
two meetings which
Right.
you can go to, but the 5:30 to 6:30 is a meeting for the public.
Public and
On
6:30.
zoning, and 6:30, I think, to 8 is the combined workshop with the Plan Commission, Council, and I thought it even said Sustainability Board.
Could
Correct.
Landmarks possibly too. Just
Landmarks
about
is
anybody we could think of, we invited.
Sort of a catch-all,
Yes.
just to catch whoever can't
You
get
come at 5:30
any
and
other
stay till
times.
Yeah.
Okay?
Actually, 6:30 works better for me.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else on workshops? A lot of things coming up. Be a busy month. Okay, then code enforcement on former Pioneer Inn property, Mr. Cummings. And I think, Mr. Cummings, you asked to add a little something to the back end of that.
I did indeed. I think we're all aware that the Pioneer has become more and more of an eyesore over the years. It is a gateway into the community. Even though we don't think of the river as a gateway, it is a gateway into the community. I drove past it the other day, and while the grass is cut, that's about it. Mr. Davis, Mr. Rolfe, and I met with the owner, I think 3 years ago in October, and we expressed an interest working together to get something going there. We looked at a 3-step program. Let's address the harbor first. There's issues there, things that have to be done. Secondly was the island where the Pioneer had stood, and then third would be Pioneer Drive. We even offered and worked with people at the Business Success Center at the university to put together a research project to show the owner what would need to be done to bring back customers, bigger boats and so forth. We've really got nowhere, and I think we've been overly nice in not enforcing some of our codes, and I think it's time to now get that property at least looking somewhat presentable. And so I'd like direction of staff is to do whatever we have to do to get that place cleaned up, both from the water side and the land side.
Do we have comments on that? I mean, we have zoning. I mean,
There
we have
are-
code issues out there that we need to step up to now and begin
Mr.
to better than we
Cummings-
have in the past.
Mr. Cummings has offered to give us a water side view of things that you don't necessarily get to see, but they're as legitimate as anything else. As Mr. Cummings said, it's the gateway to the city for people coming in by boat. I've been getting increasing numbers of complaints from people. I'm not sure what it is, perhaps just the frustration level, but certainly we can take a look at what we can do on the enforcement side, because with the exception of the grass getting mowed, the vandalism issues have increased out there, and it's something that I think, I agree with Mr. Cummings, is something that we need to take a serious look at, and if we need to bring it to the attention of the owner and take remedial action, if we have to, maybe something we need to do just to let them know that it's just not a matter of they can just let it sit and wither away. Mr. Davis, I don't know if you have anything to add to
We
that.
certainly have existing property maintenance and public nuisance codes that we can review the property for and see what compliance or violations exist on the property, and we can report that back.
That would be good, because I think, as pointed out by Mr. Cummings, we have in varying ways over the years tried to work with the owners and tried to extend them some courtesy and along the way, but also indicated we'd work with them, and so far it hasn't paid off. So the time has come, I assume. Yeah. Ms. Allison must be.
Just a comment in that I absolutely agree with Mr. Cummings. I guess my question would be is if that is something that you can do, what type of time frame, how soon can you do that and get back to council?
I'm sure I could have at least a preliminary report for the next council meeting.
Okay, great.
Super. Are we all on board there?
One last.
Go ahead. Mr. Cummings and Mr. Herman.
I would like to suggest we take the boat ride in the next week while it's still nice out.
Today would have been a nice day.
I know.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cummings.
Mr. Herman.
Two things. On a side note, we talked to Pioneer. Did we get any word from the railroad? Are they going to paint that ugly structure they put down on the river?
No editorial built into that.
None at all, but I've gotten several emails from citizens who are very, very disappointed in the final structure of that railroad bridge. And
My
a coat of
understanding
paint would go a long ways to maybe improving the looks of it, but it's an iron ore rock right now. That works.
My understanding is that is it. And
And again, we have no authority that it's an eyesore to the city. The old bridge actually looked better than this bridge. So even though that's inner commerce and all that, we have to put up with it, no matter what.
That's my understanding. We have no authority over that. It is because of the way the bridge is in its regular position, it stands out more than the other bridge because it's higher, and everything you said is accurate. I've heard that comment from a lot of people, but unfortunately, we are preempted by federal law from being able to enforce anything out there.
Okay. And one other thing, I had several citizens contact me who are hearing impaired. I'm wondering if, what would it be real expensive for us on Oshkosh Cable Access to go to closed caption? Is there, I mean, I know you can get it on, the public TV channels and things, and we've been talking about our bus routes and things, and there's, I'm sure, a lot of citizens in Oshkosh who would love to be able to hear what's going on besides just seeing us, and I don't know what the cost would be to close caption at least the council meetings, but technology the way it is today, if it's not an overly expensive cost, that might be a nice feature to add to our cable services.
I've never been asked a question. I'll call the man behind that wooden area back there and see if we can do about it, but
Okay.
we'll get back to council
Just,
on it.
at this point, it's a discussion item, but several citizens that have hearing impaired issues approached me and said they'd like to see if we could do something about that. And I just, on a side note, I want to thank Mr. Urban. I know he's not here tonight, but he made a very nice email reference to Time Warner and Charter and all that. He really cleared up a lot of, I think, issues council members have been approached with this, but now 26 is back on the air, so everybody's probably happy again.
Ironically, he sent that on Friday, and we got Channel 26 back. I don't think Mr. Urban had that much influence.
No, but it was really, I just wanted to make that as general services, that he made a very nice email and explained it in very good detail, that I think now council can kind of hang on to that when other citizens approach us about, why is Time Warner those types of things in the city. So I appreciate his response to her concerns.
Thank you.
Yeah, follow up on 2 points you made with respect to citizens that are hearing impaired, and council members are hearing impaired also.
Did you say something?
That's the first thing. The second is, have they cleaned up the staging area for the railroad bridge, and is that some of our property? Because there were some staging things that were going on. It was kind of a mess all around there, so do they have everything cleaned up along the riverfront and that?
I can answer that.
Because I didn't look like the last time I looked, so, yes.
No, they're staging area in Bay Shore, there's still stuff there.
Okay, at least on Bay.
And we don't own the property.
Who owns the property? Does the railroad own that property?
I think it's owned by the company that, the wax refinery that burned down, they still own the property. I don't know the name.
Okay, if there's any public property there, because there it was kind of a mess down there, so.
Now, that I think we would have
We
some-
ought to be able to clean it. If we own property down there, we ought to be able to ask that they clean it up if they.
And even if it's private property, if it's not their property, then that's not exempt, like other railroad things are, like ugly bridges. If there's any sites out there, we could certainly pursue property maintenance issues out there.
Check, because at least as of not too many days ago, there still was not very well cleaned up down there, I didn't think, so.
Look into that.
Okay, anything else here? Yes, Mr. Cummings, one more. You had asked ahead of time.
Right. I just want to make a brief comment. For a couple of years, the Landmarks Commission, the Oshkosh Landmarks Commission, has been working on different programs to really help the city celebrate its history. One of the first things we did, we put a number of large signs to go along the riverfront talking about the history of the river. Another program we started is a historic plaque program. Many cities have this. It's a brass plaque about this big, indicates the owner or the builder of a certain structure, the year it was built, and that the awarding agency is designated on the plaque. We installed our first plaque on September 9th, and I want to thank the owners of Oblio's Lounge on Main Street, Todd Cummings, no relation, and Mark Schultz, who really stepped forward and saw the value in really celebrating the history of their building, both architecturally, the exterior, and the interior. I think it's an exciting program. We feel there are people now who have applied for plaques for their private homes. We hope it'll spread on Main Street, but I think what a program does like this, it is a way the community can celebrate their history. It has a tremendous impact on the road on tourism, and it also plays a role in economic development. So if anyone's at the farmers market this Saturday or just downtown, take a look at the plaque. It was installed on the 12th, and I think it's going to make a nice change and an impact on downtown. So again, thanks to these two guys for having the vision to step forward and be the first in the city to do it. So thank you.
Okay, just a final note here. We do have some shirts in for various sizes. So if you want to go into Jan's office afterwards, I want you to check sizes on those. And there's a sign-up sheet there right on the counter, I believe.
Circle your
So
size.
sign up for the size and that, okay? Right afterwards, you'll, on the new shirts that we selected last time. Okay, back to citizens' comments to council, the second part of the session. Again, if somebody would like to make a comment to council, feel free to come up on something going on good in the city or something they're concerned about. Please give us your name and address, limit your comments to 5 minutes, speak directly to the council, no electioneering, and nothing on the agenda.
My name is Patricia Diener. I'm coming to you this evening in regard to, been talking to my neighbors. One of them works second shift with the, I don't know if it's a treatment center down off New York and Broad. She took it upon herself to call the place in regard to people are urinating in back of the building between her property. And she called the person there and talked to them, and they thought it was a big funny joke. And I said, well, maybe you should have just took a picture and turned it over to the police and then have them be arrested. And she's getting tired, you know, because they're coming on the property when she's not at work. When she's at work and they come on the property. And I says, you know, there's people don't know, there's 4 or 5 good neighbors that really are holding tight. And we're going to stick together for all this because we're getting tired of it. And I have another question. I've asked to have trees, but they say they only plant them certain times. I mean, I can't have it now because they're probably down the road to my street. Who has the right to trim the trees on the terrace? Can someone help me out? The brand new trees?
The Forestry Department, the Forestry Division and the Parks
What if people are
Department.
cutting them beforehand?
Probably not advisable.
Okay. Well, I'm not trying to be funny. I just want to know because my father-in-law has some. And if they get in the way, my husband and I have been taking care of the lawn over there. But I know there are people cutting trees that you people have put out. And, you know, winter's coming up. One of the young ladies said that November 16th is going to be snow. Well, you know, we have to realize no more making paths through. I thought we could make a path through for snow, you know, to help a neighbor out. I heard that the sidewalks have to be completely cleared, and it's good reason because she's handicapped. I'm handicapped. My husband's handicapped. You try to get through with a wheelchair. Because we've been trying to use the wheelchair around the neighborhood. And it's really going to be hard because we got a lot of heaving sidewalks over there. And what else? Oh, I noticed there was a new sign put up over on Tennessee and Monroe. There's a little brush in the way of the tree. And I noticed I've mentioned it many times about the one on Tennessee and Broad. Do you have to call Forster to have it trimmed?
Yeah, any tree, any public tree.
Okay, all right.
Forestry Division.
And I got one other question I was going to mention. Next time.
I'm sure you'll be back. Thank you.
Under the wires, off the wires, like I live on Wilson Street. A tree where I have my property.
Public service.
I
Anything?
asked them about it. They says talk to the cable company.
That I don't know what the tree is, but that's really up to the public service. Okay. City manager announcements and statements.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first one is a report, Mr. Strong is going to join me on this, a report on Transit Advisory Board meeting. A lot of the folks who are here this evening already talked about that. As was reported, there was not a quorum for the meeting of the Transit Advisory Board itself. Councilmember Clark is the council liaison to the board, and Councilmember Cummings was there as well. And even though there wasn't a quorum, there was a good deal of discussion that took place, and there was some clear ideas given out there in terms of restoring the hospital service, the door service at each of the hospitals. And Mr. Strong presented a variety of options that we could consider. It is tight on the route system, but Mr. Strong felt that there were ways that we could do this. This does not require technically doesn't require Transit Advisory Board action, nor does it require council action, because these are additions to service. By law, the only thing we're required to do is when we're reducing service, when we change service, that reduced service to some areas. We did have a hearing on that. That was last year. Because this is just adding service, these are minor administrative issues that Mr. Strong can deal with himself. And I think Mr. Strong's happy to report some things this evening. So, Chris, take it away.
Well, Mr. Roloff and I happened to meet with administrators from Aurora and Mercy earlier today to talk with them about the potential of going into the parking lots again. This is following the input that we received from the Transit Advisory Board members who were present, as well as other feedback we've received over the last few months. And both hospitals, as they have been previously, are supportive of having us go into the parking lots. As the city manager said, we've had concerns about timing. In looking how the routes have been performing so far, we believe that we can go into both parking lots and preserve our timing. As was discussed at the Transit Board, if there are issues with timing, we do need to revisit that down the line, because the route that serves the hospital connects to everything else as part of the system. Hopefully you don't have to go there. We think that the timing will work, and so we're hopeful that by mid to late October, we'll be going back into the parking lots of the hospitals.
Good news. Council supported that. Thank you.
Well,
excuse me. Yes.
If anybody has any questions, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Strong can hang around after the meeting. I'd be happy to hang around. We'll be providing information about the details of that, what we're going to be doing. We're not going to be changing the route. We're simply going to be adding this in. It adds about roughly 2 minutes to our routes, but we think we're going to be able to work it out. We discussed with the hospital memorandum of understanding, so that we have some understandings with the hospital about expectations they have of us, expectations we have of them, so that there's no confusion about what we can do to preserve that type of service in the future. And we've never had a memorandum of understanding with the hospitals before.
He'll be around afterwards, so you can ask your comments at that point in time.
We'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
can I make a real simple quick comment? I want to thank all of the people who have been involved in this process, particularly those that have been at every single one of those meetings where we've been discussing this issue. I've said before, and I will continue to say, the only way that we can be effective representatives up here is to get representative feedback from the people of our community. So I want to thank, in particular, Ginger and Donna and Rob for being at every single one of those meetings to address this issue. So thank you very much for your time and your commitment to the issue. Thank you as well.
Mr. Herbert?
Mr. Roloff, on another note, besides the hospital, there was County Board Supervisor Lautenschlager sent an email out to Affinity on Jackson. There were some issues about pulling into their parking lots. Has that been discussed, or have we heard back from Affinity?
Yeah, I think
that's Route 2, I think it is, or is that 4? Which one?
It's Route 4, and assuming I can provide some background on that. We used to go into the parking lot at Affinity Jackson Packer, and then in 2009, the property owner requested that we no longer go in the parking lot. That was their decision. What we did at that time was, instead of going into the parking lot, we altered our route so that we serve them from Packer Avenue. With changes approved by the Transit Board at the August meeting, we're going to be back on Packer Avenue probably about a month from now as well. Okay. We did have conversations with Affinity recently. We do have a stop on Jackson Street in front of their building, and they've expressed interest at their own cost of providing basically a sidewalk from our bus stop to the buildings for more of a front door access type of thing. So okay. I think we've handled things pretty well there.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Corey?
The next one, Mr. Mayor and Council, status of the acquisition of the property of August Fitz and Sons. The Council had approved a jurisdictional offer that, which means that we're going to acquire the property through eminent domain. We have not acted on that yet. We had discussions with Council about perhaps trying to work out some type of negotiated agreement on what the price would be. We haven't gotten a resolution to that. It seems like what's holding up is relocation costs, which are not something that are in the purview of Council and really not staff. It's really dictated by state statutes that they have to document these costs. We're going to be meeting with the attorney some other time. We had a meeting today that was canceled, so I don't have any more to report to you right now, but it appears to be the relocation costs seem to be the issue that are out there. We cannot negotiate those, and that's something that state law doesn't allow. It dictates that person has to document these costs. So once we work through those issues, I think that the cost of acquiring the land is actually relatively minor in the scheme of things. So we'll be reporting back to council on a regular basis so that you're aware of this. We do need to get this put closure on this because, as you notice on Witzel, we're actively working on that site, and it's sooner rather than later we're going to need to physically inhabit this site because there's a lot of moving parts before we can build this. We can build other areas, so we need to clear off Mr. Pitts' site along with some of the other sites that we have. If there are no questions about that, the last one, this was brought up a little earlier with the item with Strand, but this is one that I just am required to report to council, $16,200 contract. This is entirely related to the contractor error, and this is a cost that we will be pursuing to recoup with the contractor. And that's all I have, unless there are any questions.
Any questions, city manager? Comments? Okay, that takes us to a motion to go into closed session. There may be a change. Mr. Herman, you want to introduce this?
Well, I'm going to read it, and then from what I've been told, we can actually vote on it. Is that how that goes? Okay. I move that following the adjournment of this meeting, the council convene in a closed session pursuant to Section 19.85, Parent 1, Parent C of the Wisconsin State Statutes to discuss the performance evaluation and compensation regarding the city manager and employee over which the Common Council's jurisdiction and exercises responsibility.
Is there a second?
Second.
A discussion.
I was approached by Mr. Peck to make this amendment. Mr. Peck is not here tonight. He requested that it be postponed. He's not here due to family emergency. Otherwise, he obviously would have been here. But family emergency came up late this afternoon that prevented him from being here tonight and contacted me to bring it to a vote to the council. He'd like it postponed.
I'm going to ask a quick question here. Can we just defeat this and then have it brought up again?
Correct. If you just
We
don't
can
want to
vote
go
no.
in, just vote no.
If we're willing to do that, is that your best advice, to defeat it? Or let people do what they want? Okay.
Let people do what they want.
Okay. All right, so if it's defeated, and we want to do it at a later date, or he wants a council to meet again at a later date regarding this, it can come back on the agenda for another, at a time in the future.
Just one question before we vote. Can we do these type of sessions outside of a council meeting night, or we could?
Yes, you can. It just has to be noticed and.
In 24 hours.
Right. And you do have to open in an open session and then vote to go into closed session. So.
Because I think it's important that all 7 of us attend this.
Probably a council meeting night's probably going to be the best kind of night to do it. We're finding that the non-council nights and the special workshops we have, somebody running into a problem of one type or another in almost every one of our sessions that we saw before. Things that are unexpected do come up, so people are more likely to have calendar nights, but it's whatever people want. So,
While we're still in the discussion phase, the discussion came up at a previous council meeting about making sure that this is done in a timely manner so that we can get Mr. Roloff the appropriate feedback and so that we can have the appropriate discussions and still have these take effect when they need to. So in an effort to make the best decision, if we defeat this tonight, I think it would be important for us to have it on one of either our next council agenda or the one immediately following that.
this, I believe, is separate from that review process. Is that correct, Mr. Herman?
That's correct.
So this is not part of that process?
But still, as part of that, I think it's important to make sure that this is addressed in a timely manner, because I think this discussion may affect that, even though it's not directly related.
I'm just clarifying.
Absolutely. Right.
Because we have a schedule for that.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else want to comment? If not, let's clerk take the roll call vote on the motion to go into closed session.
Herman?
No.
Clark?
No.
Fitzgerald?
No.
Cummings?
No.
Allison Osby?
No.
Tower?
No.
Lost, 0-6.
Okay, look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are adjourned. Go ahead, Will.
Thank you.